Hey guys, this is Dave. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in as always. Today, what's prompting this video is an email I got from Simply Wall Street. If you haven't heard about it, it's a pretty useful platform for researching stocks and investment ideas. I use it. It has a free tier as well as paid tiers. But anyway, they sent me an email saying that certain insiders had been selling Rocket Lab recently. Now, due to various rules around insider selling, they can only sell at around certain periods as well. We have to get notified when insiders buy or sell. So I'm not going to lie, I don't like to see a lot of insider selling when I own a stock. You know, insiders usually are kind of living and breathing the company. They know it inside out better than we do as outside investors. So if you see a lot of insiders selling, it can be a little bit concerning. And one of these insiders who sold recently is a very prominent name in the company. It is Adam Spice, the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of the company. He's the number 2 man really behind Peter Beck. Very important guy in the company. I've listened to a lot of his interviews or speaking at conferences. Seems very smart, knows a lot about the rocket industry, not just finances. So I've listened to a lot of what he had to say, and it's very interesting, you know. You want to hear a lot about the big ideas, the plans for the future. I love listening to Peter for that, the CEO. Sometimes when I'm working on my models, I really just want to hear, okay, what's the margin on this specific product going to look like in 5 years? What are the numbers on this going to look like? How much revenue might we get from this? And listening to Adam is great to get those details to plug into your financial models, trying to figure out what the company might be worth down the line. So Adam, as well as another individual, has been selling recently, and I really just wanted to dive into how big a deal is this, and is there cause for concern? Before we dive into that, please do hit like and subscribe down below. Help out the channel, help us grow. Really appreciate it. We also have a Discord link to join our Discord server where we talk investing or anything we want to. You know, come join us and share your cat pictures. It's all great. Also, my Twitter down below. I'm trying to start getting a little bit more active on that, but haven't been using it too much lately. But it all helps. The more followers I can get, maybe I can tweet at more industry people, get them to come on the channel and do some discussions and interviews. It would be great to have more of that kind of content on the channel. With all that out of the way, let's dive into some of the research I've done on this insider trade. So after I got the email, I hopped over to see recent insider transactions on Simply Wall Street, and this is what we have. It is 2 sales on August 23rd, so just a few days ago this past week. We had Arjun Kampani and Adam Spice selling a good number of shares. Now, in terms of dollar value, we have $217,000 for Adam Spice and $74,000 for Arjun. So not massive amounts when you're talking about a company worth around $3 billion. Don't want to blow this out of proportion for sure, but we also do want to, you know, learn a little about this and make sure there's no cause for concern. These guys don't know something from within the company that's looking bad that we don't know, and they don't have reasons for wanting to sell that we should think about. So these sales prices were both around $5.25, and yeah, they both triggered on the exact same day. Kind of interesting that maybe there's some reason why they're both selling right now, and it's not just a coincidence. First of all, who are these two guys? Well, Adam Spice, as I said, CFO, very important guy in the company, very smart guy. I love following his conferences, his interviews. And Arjun, I don't know too much about this guy, but he's the SVP, CLO, corporate secretary at Rocket Lab. So senior vice president SVP, so also a fairly senior guy within the company, not as high up as Adam, doesn't have as many shares from what I could tell, and it's a much smaller sale as well. So really I'm more interested in why Adam Spice is selling, someone who is extremely knowledgeable about the company. Let's dive into this a little bit further. Okay, so zooming out a little bit over the last 3 months, we can see there's actually been quite a lot of insiders shares sold over the past 3 months, way more than was bought. We have 190,000 shares bought by insiders and 8 million sold. So that means the net activity is almost 8 million more shares sold than bought by insiders. So these numbers are somewhat concerning, but there may be some reasons behind it that we can dive into here. It might not just be all the employees flooding for the exits. There's things that have happened recently in the company. Often, growing companies like Rocket Lab use something called stock-based compensation. So you get paid not just with your salary, but also with stock options. They do this as a way to retain good talent, kind of sweeten the deal. So you basically offer your employees stocks. And when you do this, often there's a vesting period where you can't just turn around and sell it and get your cash right away. You have to hold on for a certain period of time. I've seen 2 years as a pretty common vesting period, or holdback period, but it can vary, I believe. So, net activity, we have minus 8 million shares. We have seen a little bit of a drop in the stock lately as well. That's another thing I meant to mention, is that is it a coincidence that the stock just dropped recently after the sale of Adam? These numbers I don't think are big enough to move the stock that heavily. So I don't think it was just Adam and Arjun's sales that moved the stock this past week to the downside. I believe that was more macro market driven. But diving into this a bit further, I wanted to look into how much shares Adam actually holds and how many he sold. So first of all, his net worth is estimated to be about $22.54 million. This is courtesy of Bazinga. He also owns about 1.8 million shares of Rocket Lab stock, and he sold about 220,000 worth. So, which comes out to 42,000 shares, by the way. So these 42,000 shares sold represent only 2.3% of Adam's overall Rocket Lab position. So it's a very small portion of position. He's certainly not, running for the hills, completely liquidating all of his stock, trying to get out. It's just a small little sale. And I mean, you can't really blame someone too much when you don't know their home situation. Maybe he just is, moving to a new house. Maybe he's got kids going to college. Like, you never know why someone's selling. But $220,000 worth, I mean, it's not huge in a company of this size, and it's only 2.3%. Could be many different reasons for it. I don't think we should jump to conclusions that there's something wrong with the company because of this by any means. Continuing on here, I just thought this was a little interesting. I don't know for sure if this is the cause, but often there's a regular holdback period before you're allowed to sell your shares that you've received as part of your compensation for stock options, or whether performance-based compensation or whatever they call it. So I thought this was a little interesting. Rocket Lab went public via its SPAC, began trading on August 25th, 2021. And when did we see that sale? Almost exactly 1 year after the go public is when these two guys sold. So is it possible that they're just now allowed to sell these shares because the holdback on them has ended, the vesting has ended? I think that's very possible. So you can't blame these guys if they've been sitting on these shares for a year. They've wanted to sell them because you want to spend money on something. Sometimes you just want the cash, and this is their first opportunity. So you sell 2.3%. not really the end of the world if that is what has happened here. This was on a different site where we're reading about the insider trading. According to this, we have a grant here on May 16th. So maybe May is the date where he received these shares and was able to sell them. I can't find the exact details. Some of these SEC filings and forms are extremely long and extremely confusing. If you know for sure when Adam was allowed to sell these shares, let me know. But anyway, this date showing here is May 16th was a grant. That would show up as about here in the stock. So, the stock's had a rough ride recently. It dropped down to $4. So if he was able to sell as of May 16th instead of that, August 25th date, this may have seemed like finally an opportunity to sell where it's slightly above what it used to be. And if you want your money to spend on, anything, this is finally just a decent selling opportunity. I wouldn't even say it's a great selling opportunity because personally, I still think Rocket Lab's undervalued and it's a great buy. So, but sometimes you need money now, right? Like, if you need money now, you need money now, unfortunately, and there's not much you can do about that. So, let's head back now and just kind of wrap up what we've learned and kind of close up this discussion. So I'm not going to lie, when I got this email, I was kind of like, oh crap, what's going on? Like, these two senior guys are selling. Is this a big deal? Especially Adam, as I've said. But I've looked into this a fair bit now, and I'm really not too concerned about it. I've listened to Adam, and he still seems very much into the company. It doesn't seem like he's trying to leave or move on or anything like that. He's only selling 2.3% of his overall stake in the company, so very small. There could be 100 reasons why he needs the cash right now. Doesn't necessarily mean he thinks the stock is overpriced or it's a good time to sell. Perhaps he just needs the money. And furthermore, he may have been waiting for the opportunity to realize some of this cash for a year now. So if that's the case, you're waiting a year, you feel like you've earned this money, and it's almost like part of your salary in a way, really, for a lot of these startups, a lot of these growth companies. The stock-based compensation is really the big pull on why you want to work for them as opposed to some sort of more established company. So you can't blame a guy for wanting to sell a little bit of money, a little bit of stock and getting the money. I'm really not too concerned about this anymore. I've don't know as much about Arjun, but that's an extremely small figure, like $70,000. That is not enough to move the share price, in my opinion, and not really that big a deal. And someone could need $70,000 for any reason, so I'm not really going to dive into that too closely. Yeah, so I've looked into this news and I feel completely fine with it. Not too worried. I'll keep an eye on if the insider selling continues. We do hope that as these insiders have been able to finally sell their shares, we can see that number go down. Perhaps insiders even buying more than selling in the future as their faith in the rising stock price grows. So that's what you hope to see, and that's what I hope to see going forward. I'll keep an eye on the insider trading, and if there's anything of note, I'll be sure to let you guys know in a future video. Thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.